Hi, Brian. The three roster cutdown days this year all come on Tuesdays that you're practicing. I know last Tuesday you all practiced with the full roster, then made the cuts. Are you doing that today, or will your five cuts come before? And what's the thinking in that? Is it just wanting to take a final look at guys before cutting them?
Yeah, we'll do them after. We're still kind of going through those conversations. Um, yeah, we'll do it after.
With guys like Will Fuller and Devontae, I know they were doing some work before the game, and obviously they work with the rehab assignment group. Where do you get to a point where you begin to worry about them for not necessarily Fuller, but for their season opening status?
Well, those guys are working hard to get back. So, you know, there's no, I wouldn't say there's any worry. It's more, uh, uh, they're working to get back. They'll be out there today. So, from that standpoint, there isn't, I know that they're doing everything they can, and that's really all we can ask of them. Um, so that's kind of the approach I take. Look, injuries happen, guys get dinged. The only thing we can ask is that they do everything they can to get back as quickly as they can, and all the guys who are dealing with nicks and bruises are doing what they can to get back, and
Would they be out there if it wasn't a walkthrough today?
look, I mean they're doing everything they can to get back. I think we're getting closer. Would they be back if there wasn't a walkthrough? Um, I think they're getting closer. We'll have to find out tomorrow since we'll be here tomorrow.
Jalen Waddle went back in last game, but it's something you'll still have to monitor this week going forward.
Yeah, I mean Jalen's a tough kid. I think he'll, again he's first training camp dealing with some nicks and bruises. He's getting in the training room doing preventative work, getting treatment. So he'll be out there.
What have you seen from Hunter Law? And if you could also, include in that he seems to be showing some toughness playing through this leg deal.
He was down for some time there. Worked hard to get back. Got back last week and did a couple good things in practice against Atlanta, and then played in the game. So he's a tough kid. He's a hardworking kid. And he's young. He needs reps, and he's getting them. And we're going to try to get him in this practice week, which is an important week for us in the game, and just try to take it one day at a time and get better.
You said you were going to have a meeting to kind of decide how many of the starters might play. I guess I'll start with Tua. Do you know if Tua is going to play?
We're still going through that. Still, having discussions about how much, we'll play those guys. So, still undecided.
When it comes to the new IR rules the league had, I know it carries over from last season. How much thought does that play into when you're putting together the 53 and trying to figure out whether or not guys can begin the year on IR and then come on?
I mean, they're different. It's different in training camp. The IR rule that I think you're alluding to.
I mean, when it's regular season. In terms of guys, I guess they initially make the 53, then once that day is passed, you can put them on IR with the opportunity to remove them after three games.
Right. So, I guess for right now, if we put a player on IR, he's done. And then if a player who makes the 53, after that day, then assuming an injury, which you never want to assume that, but if an injury happens, you can put him down for a minimum of 3 games. I mean, I don't know how much that applies right now, because we would have to release a player, and then he's out on the street and he can get picked up by anybody. And I guess the conversation is whether or not that's worth Yeah, I mean, that's. I guess I'm having a hard time understanding the question.
I will rephrase it
Yeah.
later
Yeah.
once I
So basically, we get to the 53. Those guys are healthy,
but you have guys like Bowden who is not healthy
right?
can initially go on IR. I mean, can initially go on the 53 and then the next day go on IR, create an extra roster spot for a wide receiver or for
A wide receiver that we just let go.
no. I'm saying carry him, and that creates good point. You create an extra roster spot for somebody else if he's not going to be healthy to begin the season.
Yeah, all those conversations. Chris, his staff, we have those conversations. Look, if you like a player, you keep him because you don't want to expose him to the rest of the league and think you're gonna just finagle a rule. I mean, that's not what the rule's made for. So, look, that's I think what you're alluding to. I'm not sure we can really get that done given how it's the mechanisms you have to go through to put a player on IR. They have to make the 53, which means you got to cut 30, well, however many, 20, however, whatever the number is to get to 53. And then after that, you could put a player on IR, but you just expose the player you're going to bring back. So there's a lot of, do you want to expose said player or just put that player you're going to put on IR on IR? It's a lot, yeah, there's a lot of moving parts there.
In terms of the shape that Landon Roberts and Preston Williams are in, obviously rhythm, getting back into football activities. From what you see and from the medical staff tells you, does it look realistic that they could help you in week 1 potentially, or might this be a several-week ramping up process to team football activity for those two?
I mean, you always want to ramp up and give them as much time as possible. I thought, getting them out there last week was good. Good for their confidence. I mean, I think they both felt good getting out there on the field with their teammates. They did some good things. I mean, it was, we weren't out there, or they weren't out there all that long. So, yeah, we'll try to ramp them up, get them into some more team drills this week, and hopefully, build on, what we got started with last week.
I'm sure there's a lot of thought that still remains on this subject, but even at this relatively early stage, what are your thoughts on how difficult it's going to be to set the roster at wide receiver?
No, there's a lot of competition in that room, and that competition's still playing out. And again, this is a big week. We've got guys who have practiced. We've got guys who haven't practiced, and we're always going to do what we feel is best for the team. And yeah, there's a lot of competition there. It's going to be some tough decisions that are going to have to be made, and we'll always make them with the thought that we're doing what's best, what we think is best for the team.
Rosters are fluid, especially the back end of an NFL roster. But in terms of the importance of this week and the last preseason game, is it fair to say that there are literally 3 or 4 or more spots that have just not been claimed that are still being fought for?
Yeah, it's fair to say.
What would be the message to those guys who are probably acutely aware that they are literally on that cliff either way?
Work hard, keep improving, take advantage of your opportunities. That's what. I mean, I've mentioned that to our team, many times. I mean, in life, it's about taking advantage of your opportunities. I mean, whether it's football or business or really anything that you're working towards. If you get an opportunity, you want to take advantage of it. So, for those guys who are 2-3 spots that are available, they'll have some opportunities to practice. They'll have opportunities in the game, and if they play well, then they put themselves in the best, give themselves the best opportunity to make the team, and if they don't, then they don't put themselves in they don't give themselves the best chance.
I know it's not a week out, but with the NFL, obviously we're on 3 games. You have that extra week. In your eyes, how beneficial is that extra week? And will the preparation for week 1 kind of start as soon as get to the 53-man roster?
You talking about that 3-day weekend that they got? Yeah, that's different. It's a little, it's different. It's something that that we haven't really dealt with before. So we've had some conversations about how we're going to handle that week with the strength staff, with the medical staff. How we're going to prepare, whether we do it before, whether we do it after. I mean, we've had those conversations. But that'll be a good weekend for our players. They won't be here. We won't. They won't have our direction, so they're gonna have to do a lot of things on their own, from a hydration standpoint, from a workout standpoint. I mean, you don't want to lay on a couch for 3 days and then you think you're going to get up and practice and practice well. So, that'll be the message to those guys, to our guys, and scheduling wise, we'll try to do what we feel gives us the best chance to have success. But we've had some of those conversations. They're in, I would say, the early stages. But then we always come back to, hey, let's just focus on today.
Coach, going back to the 2-3 spots that are still available, is that something that you'd like to see in camp? What does that tell you about camp? Is there competition in there?
I mean, that tells us that there's been a lot of competition on the team, and we need to. That's a good thing. I think competition brings out the best in all of us, and that's no different for the players. And hopefully, hopefully that's a motive, something that motivates them to do a little bit more in meetings, do a little bit more in practice, do a little bit more in walkthrough, study a little bit more, and that'll give them a chance to take advantage of the opportunity.
Coach, I know you value high character guys. You've noticed over the years how many guys coming in and out. And all your coaches yesterday mentioned how unselfish the players have to be. So where does that factor when you have such little spots, what I'm saying, like character guy versus a guy who could jump out of the gym, but maybe might not have that? And how much harder is it becoming to evaluate that?
I mean, look, it's a sport where you got to get 11 guys on the same page. So, selflessness is a trait that's important in this game. There's just no way around it. I mean, I learned this at a young age from a high school coach. You play baseball, one guy can hit 4 home runs. You play basketball, guys score 70 points. Football, it's not that way. You got to throw it. If you want to throw it to somebody's got to throw it. Somebody's got to catch it. Somebody's got to block. You want to tackle somebody. Somebody's got to set an edge. I mean, you need your teammates. So there's an innate selflessness that you have to play this game. So yeah, it's an important trait, along with really everything else. Speed and quickness and intelligence. And I think it's a characteristic that's important in football. And we got a lot of good guys from that standpoint. They do a nice job. They understand that. And they lean on each other, and that part of it's been good.
Eichenberg has been back and forth, right tackle, left guard. Solid McKinley up and down units. Could you assess each one through their movements on the line or through different units?
Both guys working hard. Both guys making improvement. Both guys, competing to play, competing for an opportunity to play a lot. Both guys have had good moments and not so good moments, and we'll just, again, this week is a big week for everyone on this team, and we're still competing. We're still trying to get better. We're still evaluating, and that's where we're at. Thanks, guys.